Alright troops, what's happening? Welcome to my channel. This is the first video. My name's Barry and this is DRAMALERT. So, you know, what is DRAMALERT? This is essentially a channel I've created to share my passions of the drams. Mainly Scotch whisky, any whisky really, and I'm not discriminating, I'll drink anything that's wet, so who am I trying to kid? But let's start with whisky. So my first video is going to be, essentially it's kind of came in hand with what's been going on in my life recently. I've currently taken a little dry spell from drinking, and it's now March the 1st, so I can get back on it. It's been 28 long days, dry February. Why dry February and not dry January or sober October? Mainly because it's the shortest month and I'm not an idiot. 28 days is long enough. Mostly because I just wanted to take a little break after January. I mean, a few celebrations after that crazy year we've just been through. Still yet to kind of really find out what 2021's got in store for us, but a little bit of celebrations in January, and I thought, you know what, February, I'm going to take a little dry spell off here. Originally it was just how it benefits my palate, palate for whiskies and wines and stuff like that. I work in a liquor store over here in Edmonton, Alberta, and I'm always exposed to, lots of different types of liquor. I'm a big whiskey guy, but when you're constantly, there's something new being opened or you're getting new samples home to try things, it can get a bit much sometimes, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to just clean my palate off and see if there is any changes and any benefits to actually giving yourself a little bit of dry spell. Another reason is probably a little bit of health boost, just a bit of detoxing and a bit of self-awareness. I mean, it's something you can accomplish super easy, 28 days off booze, that's a bit of a pickup right there, right? So in this video, I'm just gonna sample 3 whiskies that I have open, that I've been kind of working my way through. My newest bottle is this Brackla 12, which I bought at the end of January. So I really haven't been exposed to this, really. I've not really sat down and took the time, but we're going to just work our way through all these, and I'm going to see if I'm going to pick up anything that I've maybe missed or any new flavours or any new things on the palate. So I'm super excited. This is, like I said, it's now March 1st, so this is the first bottle I've popped open since Edge won the Royal Rumble, really. Wrestling. So let's pour this Brackla 12 first. So, oh, that was a terrible pop. Hang on, let me get a good one there for the gram. Pop. So let's pour a wee dram here. And I think what I'll do as well is this Arran Quarter Cask. This Arran Quarter Cask is cask strength, so I'm going to pour this just now before I try the Brackla and let that open up a little. So Royal Brackla, I've got a little bit of note here. I don't have much on it, to be honest. It's 40% ABV. It's a Highland Scotch whisky from, I'm sure, near Nairn in Banffshire, Nairnshire. So yeah, 40%, it's 100% Oloroso sherry barrels. So that sherry influence should play quite a prominent picture on the whisky. I don't know if it's natural colour, doesn't tell you. I'm guessing it's probably not. I mean, if it is, then just say so in the bottle. People are looking for that. And obviously at 40%, it's probably it's unlikely that it's let's rephrase that. Being at 40%, it's probably highly likely that it's been chill filtered. I mean, it's quite cold in here at the moment. We're in the basement, but it's not cold enough to get the old Scotch mist, unfortunately. So the colour, a lovely light gold. I mean, typical whisky colour. It's not overly pale. It's not super dark. It's quite approachable for a kind of consumer malt. So let's go on the nose here and let's have a look what I find. So instantly, massive sherry influence on it, which you expect. That typical dried fruity raisin. It's quite interesting because when I did open this bottle, when I first bought it, I was in Jasper, up snowboarding and staying in a little hotel there, and it wasn't a really fancy hotel, so I was drinking out of the old plastic cups, the good glasses, so you really don't get the same flavour, and it's hard to really get anything out of those plastic cups. These Glencairns, if you don't have any and you really want to try and get any whiskey, they're a great thing to have because they really help you find flavours, right? So light malt chocolate, 100% there. Malt chocolate? A light milk chocolate in this. I wouldn't overly say a bitter, I wouldn't say an incredibly bitter chocolate flavour on it. There's also a little bit of honey there. So, you know, your typical kind of Highland flavours. And it's nothing super complex. I mean, you're finding kind of maltiness and malt sugar on there, you know, and it's not a light whiskey, you know, it's quite rich when you look at the legs in the glass here. So, looking at the legs on the glass, I mean, it's incredibly syrupy. You're not overly though, I mean, there's a hell of a lot more whiskies out there that are super syrupy, great long legs, evenly spaced. So, I've got a good body, I mean, kind of what you expect from a whiskey like that. It's quite an expensive bottle, I think it retails over here at maybe about $90. So, let's get fired into it. Oh, instant on the palate. Bear in mind that's my first drink. Quite spicy, I do notice that. So straight away, you know, whiskey aside, I'll go back to that. My palate softened up. I mean, quite intense spice on it. I don't remember this being quite spicy, but is that because I took the month off, or is it just I can't remember this whiskey being super spicy? A wee glass of water here and I'll fire back into it. And really kind of see what it's going to speak to me now. So, okay, so the spices calmed down, but quite rich, definitely full-bodied. Quite singular in flavour, the malt shows quite heavily on it, but there's a nice honeyness to it. It's not overly sweet, it's a little dry actually. The dried fruits do come in, though you get lots of raisiny, a little bit of waxy notes on it as well. I'm quite impressed. I mean, it's not overly complex, like I said. I think that it's a great approachable malt. I mean, if you want something that, you know, it's great presentation. I mean, that lovely big bottle, and it's always as well, the bigger the thumb dent, it means the more prestige the bottle, right? I mean, definitely in wines, if you buy a nice wine, it's got a big thumb dent, you're like, well, that's got to be good, right? But very approachable, not intensely sherry, not overly sherry. A great introduction to sherry casks. Some of them can be really fruity and rich and deep, and they get too easy to drink. I mean, we've all been there probably on a bottle of Aberlour or Balvenie Doublewood. I think I finished that in a couple of weeks. And that was my drink for the new year, for the bells. Quite a good finish, really long finish, quite dry. You don't find yourself chasing the whiskey as well. I mean, stuff at 40% for me can really taste watery and it feels like you're just throwing it back, but the dryness of it, you do taste a bit of oak. I wasn't really smelling oak. Actually saying that now, going back. Trick of the trade here, most of this. I mean, there's not a lot of alcohol to burn off, but there's definitely a touch of wood on there, which, you know, you expect. Yeah, see, that trick's not really work because you're sitting at 40%. No, super interesting. I'm really pleased with that. Well, I'll finish it off. Sure. Very nice indeed. Royal Brackla 12-year-old. So first impressions of how my palate's changed really has been that incredible spiciness of it. Very rarely up until now. When I started getting into whiskey, obviously that first drink is incredibly spicy to a lot of people, which is probably why a lot of people don't find it approachable, right? For me, since I've been drinking a lot, not a lot of whiskey, but more whiskey as per usual as I've got into it, the first drink would never really bother me. It would just be kind of first impressions, wouldn't be overly spicy. So definitely straight away, palate seems softer. Doesn't let you pick more flavours out, I feel though, so that'd be interesting. Now this bottle we're going on to next is the Arran Quarter Cask, the Bothy. I had a hard time with this bottle when I first opened it and was kind of making my way through it. As you can see, I'm almost about 3/4 of the way down. It is first fill bourbon for 7 years, and then they finish it off in 125 litre American oak quarter casks for a further 2 years. Quarter casking for me, you know, I never really dipped my toe in a lot until I tried, you know, I never heard of really until I tried the Lefroy Quarter Cask, and for me that was just, you know, 10 turned up to 11. Nice Spinal Tap reference there. It goes to 11. 11! 11! That's from a cousin when she watches this show, like that'll pop the boys. So this, it was something interesting to try because I love the Arran 10 as reviewed by, you know, Ralphie Reviews. If you're you know, a big whiskey guy, you probably heard the man. He's on YouTube, does great reviews, you should check him out. It's his malt of the year 2021. I got turned on to the Arran distillery essentially because I wanted to try something that could really taste good quality oaking in. So you know, good quality casks, and it was, I can't remember who recommended it to me, but going to it and buying a bottle, I absolutely loved it. I bought a bottle from my father back home as well. But this was another option that I seen come into a store, and I was really quite interested by it. You know, it really kind of talks to you about the, you know, the coconut and the tropical themes, which I've had in some whiskies before, but I was like, you know, I was super impressed with the Arran 10. I was like, let's try this quarter cask. When I first popped it, I remember I got a really intense tropical note, so lots of pineapple. Coconut definitely on the latter end of the palate, but not dry, incredibly quite a sweet whiskey, and a little bit of vanilla. And then going back to it, I've just found it's been really quite hot and spiky. And then speaking to a couple of other guys that I've let sample it too, they really are kind of feeling the same way. Let's have a look at how the legs stand up on this. You can also tell the kind of colour, it's quite a pale colour. But going by the legs on the whiskey, there is none. Obviously there's a lot of oils in it. Let's go back, let's tell you a bit about it. Everything that Arran do, as far as I know, are non-chill natural colour. They tell you on the label, which we all like to see. This is 56.2%, so it's natural cask strength, as they say. So again, not being non-chill, a lot of those oils in the whiskey are still going to be there. So as you can see, it kind of looks oily. There's not a lot of legs in this glass at all. So let's give it a nose. Let's get my snout in it. Not as hot as I remember. It's been sitting out a while though, which we kind of should be doing. So that intense tropical note's not there. It's not intense. I mean, coconut, briny pineapples. You know, like a pineapple, like a kind of crushed pineapple in the juice. Not overly juicy though. I mean, I think the whiskey definitely is drier, but very light smelling, not overpowering. You know, let's get fired in about it. This might need water, I think, to kind of open it up. It'd be interesting to have some. Yeah, I definitely need some water here. So definitely quite hot, still spiky, still very potent, which you expect from 46%. I mean, I'm not going to beat around the bush there. It's a hot whiskey, right? There's a little bit of soapiness on it, and I remember tasting that on the Arran 10 as well. I don't know if that's through the whole line, but I mean, I'm super impressed with their whiskies. 25 years old, the distillery as well, so vanilla comes out when you add the water. The coconut dies a little, it turns more to a creaminess, which I think kind of develops into that vanilla. But definitely way more complex in this than the Brackla. And depending on what level you're at, you know, this is maybe a whiskey that you don't appreciate. But I think it's very underlooked. Tons better mouthfeel. Coconut comes out. Taste the oak, dry oak though. Definitely not wet and muddy, but a really dry kind of veneer kind of finish on it. Fruits are there. Hidden behind the kind of vanilla, coconutty kind of creaminess of it. Not a deep creaminess, sense of creaminess, but it's not buttery at all. The sweetness takes a back seat. It really is all about the oaking, I think, in this whiskey. And I'd like to email them and ask them, you know, why they kind of thought of this expression might be interesting to add to the lineup, because I think it's really just trying to show you what quarter casks can do, and maybe overstepping that. I'm not really sure. It's quite a lot though. I mean, it's quite hot, not in a bad way. I really enjoy their stuff, like I said, and it's quite brash. There's a There's a kind of white pepperiness on it, which is interesting. I mean, you know, let's add another wee bit of water, see what else happens to this. I'm in love with whiskies that just, you know, are non-chill, natural colour. Just give people natural whiskies. Let them decide what they want. Don't, you know, I understand the idea of bottling whiskies at 40%. I mean, it goes a lot longer, but you thin the whiskey out, you lose a lot of the complexity. Very approachable, but, oh wait, there we go. Tons of coconut pineapples way back. That's came way back. Yeah, that's way more kind of, yeah, I mean, I think about a teaspoon of water really does it justice. Kind of brings it down to that kind of proof level that you want, really drinkable. It's still hot, quite brash, oaky, dry, sweet whiskey, but really dry finish. It's not an overly long finish, not as long as the Brackla. Let's polish it off. I'm going to be steaming the end there. Right, one of the Beastie. Let me have a drink of water. So, we went from Highland, just above Speyside. We went across to Arran, just west of Glasgow, a little island on its own. We're going past Campbelltown. We're skipping our Campbelltown, we're going to Islay. Ardbeg Wee Beastie. To be honest, since I moved over here, I never tried an Ardbeg before. I thought Islay was all Lafroig, Lagavulin, Palila, which I love actually. It's a fantastic wee whiskey. Until Ardbeg introduced to me by a man called Bryce Simpson, a Scotsman who lives in Toronto, and he's a brand ambassador for Glenmorangie and Ardbeg. He came to a tasting in the store. Let us taste the Ardbeg 10 and the Anno. I'll tag his Instagram on the video and you can check him out. Amazing guy. This is a wee belter. 5-year-old Ardbeg. I like what they're doing. Non-age statements I think get a bad rep. So let's pour this actually. You know, instead of talking about it and get a wee bit of time in the glass here. Like I said, I think, oh listen to that. Pop. We'll get a wee bit of time in the glass here. And I like that Ardbeg have done that. I mean, young whiskies can be quite impressive. And I think this really shows off that you should be proud of whatever you produce. I mean, if you give me a whiskey that's, you put 6.5 on the bottle, I'll still drink it. I mean, like I said, I'll drink it if it's wet. But non-age statements I think get a bad rep, mainly because people think they're lower quality. I don't think that's the case. But I think putting a 5 on it and being open, honest, that attracts people to really give it a go. And the fact you call it Wee Beastie attracts people as well, because they're like, what's a Beastie? This is a combination of ex-bourbon and Oloroso oak sherry casks. It's not finished. I think it's like a marriage, so similar to how a Glenfiddich 12 is. I don't know if they use a marrying tun or something like that, but a combination of both the casks, non-chill natural colour as well, and I'm sure about 46%, 47.4, so great proof on it. A little bit of heat, tons of oil in the whiskey. I mean, super oily anyway because it's from the islands, but this is, I'm really excited to get back to this. Let me have a wee drink of water here. Water. Right, let's get in about it. Quite pale. I mean, compared to the Arran, which is older. I mean, it's at least 7 years old, and then the 2 years in the quarter casks. Obviously quarter casks, which I never explained actually. Quarter casks which tend to maturate the whiskey a hell of a lot quicker. Obviously with the science and more oak touch in the casks.
Yeah, Mr. White. Yes, science!
This at 5-year-old's got a good colour on it. I've got a 14-year-old Ardbeg in the cupboard upstairs, an independent bottling that's done in sherry casks, and it's about as clear as, I don't know, water. Almost. Right, let's give this a go. So we're introducing peat. This is a peated whiskey. If you don't know anything about Ardbeg, I wouldn't, if you're new to whiskey as well, I wouldn't go jumping at a bottle of this. It might be quite abrasive. But, I mean, some people take to the smoke very well, so I guess it's not overly offensive. It really isn't overly offensive. I'm kind of used to peat now. I was really turned away by it after trying Lafroigs. I mean, they were very medicinal, antiseptic, like TCP, Dettol, like something you would rub on a cut to disinfect it, right? But it's a different type of peat on Ardbeg. I've always said that since I tried the first one. And this is why I love it so much. I mean, it doesn't lean heavily onto that iodine side. There's definitely that iodine antiseptic flavour on there, but it's not heavy. I mean, it's definitely more a vegetal flavour. I remember speaking to Bry a little bit ago and asking him, I'm like, does it smell like bell peppers to you? And he's like, you know, he's still trying to figure it out. I mean, there's tons in this. This is about as complex a whiskey of, you know, This is about as least complex, this is about kind of middle, and this is just, you could buy 2 bottles of this and still be trying to figure out the flavours in it, I'm sure of it. So let's pick out 3 at least, right? So I'm not getting that bell pepper like I was originally, but definitely vegetal. Chocolate. Big kick of chocolate in there. What it reminds me is when, it never gets this hot in Scotland, but when it gets so warm, like that one day of the year, that you can like pick the tar on the road and it starts to kind of melt. But that's what it reminds me of. I mean, a really roasting Scottish summer day. There's seaside in there as well, which is I think a typical Ardbeg flavour, but I'm trying to find that bell pepper again. That was a really interesting flavour, but so let's try it. Let's see what I get in it. That's so good. There's a varnish on it. There's like a creosote, you know, fence paint. Not that I've ever drunk fence paint before, but that's definitely got that creosote oiliness. This is a great dram. I love this whiskey. It's a wee belter. The chocolate comes through, creosote. Refreshing though, which is, you know, you say a peaty smoky whiskey, you don't expect it to be refreshing, but absolutely is. It's not got a super long finish on it. It's definitely a nice, easy sipper, but very complex and a really interesting whiskey if you really want to try and some Islay malts. I mean, I always tend to, when I'm selling whiskey, you know, point people towards the youngest first. I mean, don't go crazy, don't grab a 30-year-old Lafroig as your first peaty whiskey. No, start simple, start with Bowmore No. 1, a little non-age statement, or a Lafroig Select, or, you know, Kalila 12, or Lagavulin 8. But this, I think, is my new go-to. I mean, love what they're doing. Love that it's non-chill, love that it's natural colour. 47%, give me a bit of proof. It's not hot, but I think this will take a bit of water actually. Let's see what it brings out. A wee sploosh. A wee dicht. I'm getting that creosote in the nose now. This reminds me of a warm Scottish summer day when my dad's out painting the fence. And he's shouting at me. It's Sunday. I'm in bed because I've just had a long week ahead of me, behind me. Sorry. It's Sunday. It's about 8 o'clock. There's the lawnmower's already been gone. You know what? There's actually, yeah. You know what? So the lawnmower's already been gone. My mum's up with the Hoover, and then my dad's broke out the fence paint, and we're painting the fence today. And he's like, "Get the fuck up! How? Get the fuck up! You're not fucking lazing about all day." That's what This is what this reminds me of. Fantastic wee drum. Amazing. Quality. Fantastic. I really want to taste this beside the 10, because the 10's absolutely fantastic. But this, for a young 5-year-old whiskey, you could put that in a line-up against Lagavulin 16. You could put it against, I don't know, what else could we put it up against? I mean, a Bowmore 18. And it would not show its age. It's fantastic, very well done. I applaud you, Ardbeg, and I will applaud you after I finished it. Hang on a minute. Down the hatch. Right, so conclusion time. How's my palate changed? No a hell of a lot. Softer, I feel more spice, especially in that first dram. In the Brackla, you expect sherry casks to be a little bit spicy, but longer. I mean, I was able to pick out way more flavours. This, with the whole, it was actually Bry who, when we did that tasting, he explained to me, he's like, a lot of whiskey to me is an experience, or it gives you a memory of something, and I never thought about tasting whiskey in that sense before. To be honest, this is a warm summer's day when my dad's out painting the fence. That's what that tastes like. And I'm super happy. I'm glad it's now not even 3 o'clock yet, and I'm on the sauce, and I'm super happy that I'm back at it. It's really kind of invigorated me. It makes me want to taste more. It makes me want to explore more. I just want to share with everybody here that's going to watch and that takes the time to hear me ramble on for God knows how long this has been now, 20 minutes. I just want to bring these along with me. I mean, it's a super interesting subject, I think. I've got a huge passion for it, and I just want to share that. So thanks for watching. Did any of you guys do any dry February Dry October, sober October, dry January. Let me know in the comments. I want to see if you've found a difference to your palate or even your health benefits. I mean, I feel super good after doing it. I'm in a way better mindset than I was kind of going into it. I thought it'd be a real test, but I'm just hard as fuck that it wasn't. I wasn't ever, you know, craving a dram. Although I was looking at my whiskies and I was like, I cannot wait to get back into you. So yeah, give us a wee thumbs up, like, subscribe if you want. Throw us a wee comment, which, you know, if you've tried any of the whiskies below, what you think of them. Let me know if you're still on the wagon or off the wagon. Which is it? Is it on the wagon or off the wagon? Yeah, well, shall I just pour a wee dram and go for it? Let's do it. Let's pour another wee Ardbeg. I love this sucker. Let's fire it back. It's just a wee one. Cheers.